Welcome to the Reticle Up podcast, where I, 3-Gun Kenzie, will be interviewing competitive shooters, hunters, fishermen, archers, entrepreneurs, and outdoorsmen. Come learn with me as I interview people from all walks of life, in different disciplines, all across the world, from novices to professionals of all ages. No matter what, everyone has something they can teach you, so come join me on the journey. Hey everyone. Okay, so I've got Rob back for part 2 of his journey into craftsmanship, bladesmithing, can't even talk, and knife making. So I want to kick this one off with, what are you still learning about bladesmithing today? How's it changed?
So for me, people don't understand that there's so many different ways you can go with bladesmithing. Like now, my next stage is getting into the hammer forging side of it, which is a whole nother realm altogether.
Yeah.
So, more equipment, more stuff, more stuff you got to buy, and it ain't cheap.
No.
So that's kind of where I'm at now. Is the next stage is for me is making Damascus, forge welding, all that. That's the next stages for me. That's where I'm at now.
Okay, so who's teaching you that? How are you learning all that?
So my 3 teachers, so like Kim Breed, Ryan Johnson. Ryan, I'm actually in the middle of getting ready to schedule to try and go see him in the first part of next year. And then the last person that I'm going to be making my pilgrimage to is to see Elmer Rausch in South Carolina. Asheville, is that South Carolina?
North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina. I can't remember. So we'll be heading over to see him. And then even Chris Williams has invited me because he makes a bunch of Damascus in the wintertime.
Yeah, cool. Actually, that's my segue to the next stuff. And this can be a huge one, so you can touch on it or talk about as much or as little as you want. Can you talk about the different steel, metal, all that stuff, like materials, and why they matter in blades?
Okay. Wow. So where do I start? Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
So steels. Well, so everything is based on use. It's like so if I were to try to communicate with gun people, yeah, well, it is like, so, okay, because I understand calibers. Okay, so you ever heard the saying, never shoot a large caliber man with a small caliber bullet?
Yep.
All right, so application of steel is the same way. Okay. Calibers are for use, right? You wouldn't, you could get away with shooting a whitetail with a 243. I wouldn't try shooting a Cape buffalo with a 243. You know what I mean? Yeah. So steels are kind of the same way, for instance, nowadays we got more what they call the Gucci steels, which are your powdered metals, your CMs, as they would refer to them, with the crucible steels. But in the way of average application, when you look at self-defense, I mean, dude, you could kill somebody with a broken bottle. I mean,
yeah.
So steels.
That's why I don't like the word weapon. I mean,
yeah,
I know it's a tool.
Yeah. But in the way of EDC, we at least as far as my philosophy, I break everything down into categories. In other words, you have self-defense tool, EDC, breaching, and bushcraft.
And cooking.
And cooking. Yeah, cooking. The cooking part about it is that the characteristics in what you're using, like, in other words, you can make a phenomenal cooking knife out of regular high carbon steel, say a 1084 or 1095. Phenomenal.
Yeah,
absolutely phenomenal. But then you have the snobs out there. You have steel snobs the same way you've got probably got caliber snobs.
Yeah.
You got people that are like, well, I would never shoot that. Well, it'll kill you just as dead as anything else.
Yeah.
So steel's the same way. It's no different. But in the way of the categories, right? Mm-hmm. You have to be able to develop a certain, like, okay, for instance, self-defense tools. I don't I'm not really looking for the indestructibility like I would for, say, a breacher.
Right.
Right. But although there are breaching steels that can apply to the self-defense side of it, or self-protection side of it.
Sure.
Why? Because it's already overbuilt. It's like shooting somebody with a 308. It's got more than enough bullet.
Yeah.
It's plenty.
Yeah.
Or shooting a deer with a 3.0 whitetail. Yeah, it's plenty. It's more than enough bullet. But like when you start getting into bushcraft and breaching, now you got to be real careful what you're selecting, because now when you look at bushcraft, you're talking about somebody who's going to go out in the woods and they're going to try to survive with nothing but their knife. Mm-hmm. So you want something that's going to be able to last, and it's got to have certain characteristics. A lot of guys still favor high carbons, although you've got your, 80 CRV2, your S7s, which is one of your higher end tool steels. When it comes to EDC, I'm a huge fan. If you like stainless, I'm a real big fan of 154 CM, Nitro V, AEBL. If you like carbon, man, I've turned into a real big fan of 52100, which is a classic ball bearing steel, which is really durable, and it takes an incredible edge. As a matter of fact, the run of blades that I just did for Clint Emerson, we built them out of 52100. Nice. Which I really, it takes a phenomenal edge. They've been using it in kitchen knife manufacturing for years, but for like an everyday EDC, something you're just going to carry on your person all the time, 52100 is phenomenal. I'm just a huge fan of carbon. Okay. I'm a big fan of carbon just because of the edge. Oh my God. And it doesn't break the bank. People don't realize that. Well, Rob, why aren't you using S35 VN? Well, because I don't want to have to charge you $550 for this knife. Yeah. Yeah. You're not paying for the steel. I'm giving you high quality steel, but I'm not breaking your back. Mm. If I build this same blade in this steel, you're no longer paying, say, 150. You're paying 450 for it. Yeah. So people don't understand that.
But yeah.
Yeah. And in the gun industry, and this is something that we're struggling to try to get through right now with DoubleStar, is that, so we talked about the two circles, mm-hmm. and the majority of your gun people don't want to drop that kind of money on a knife. That's why your mass production manufacturers, whether they be foreign or domestic, have a tendency of basically being in control of the knife industry from the gun side. Your SOG, your K-Bar, your CRKTs, your Gerber, Camillus, Kershaw, Case, and the list goes on and on. These are all mass production, domestic mass production import manufacturers. Yeah. They run it. Why? Well, the stuff on their highest side is like $125,
right?
$150 max. Where limited production domestic, which is where we are, yep, and that's what where I'm trying to get through to them, is that our prices are limited production domestic. So that overlap in the two circles that you're talking about, when you are in that category, you could take that little itty bitty circle where there's an overlap, and you might as well make it as small as humanly possible, because that's what you're dealing with.
Yeah. And people don't want to pay American prices, which blows my mind, and I think Nick talked about that on either my podcast or the one that he did. But I love your knives. I want a tomahawk one day, so I got to invest in that. But this thing is so cool. And what people don't know is you can engrave them with your machine. So you put 3 Gun Kenzie on there.
Yep.
Just so neat. You can customize. Who doesn't?
But that knife right there was our entry into the import market.
Yeah.
That's why we were able to make it affordable. And people don't understand that on the American side. Okay, so for instance, we're actually getting ready to consider to start making that blade domestically.
Okay, cool.
And it may not happen until next fall.
Yeah.
But we're talking about it. We're getting to where we're going to start. We're trying to project this image now. Like,
You're branding yourself and adding value as a USA based company.
Well, but that means that you're really more of a boutique.
Yeah.
The stuff that we make is really, you're really looking more toward boutique prices.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to say, because to try to say that we appeal to the gun people, it's a loaded question. It's very loaded, because there are knife people who will gladly drop, matter of fact, $150 for a knife person. That's easy.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer. But to tell a gun person, I want $150 for this fixed blade, and they look at you like you got another eyeball. But it's because of the market, because of the names that I mentioned prior.
Yeah.
And those guys control the lion's share of that overlapping circle.
Yep. That's like the same with teaching. It frustrates me so much when somebody degrades our value of education, where, hey, I teach this class, this is my amount. Oh, well, I'm going to pay $20 for 3 hours. I'm like, well, you're not paying for the time. You're paying for all of the experience and credentials and the time that I put into this. So I get super frustrated. Yeah. It's an investment.
Yeah. It is an investment. And I thought it would have been easier to do with the gun people.
Yeah.
But it's turned out, and again, it's been this past 5 years have been it's been difficult.
Sure.
It's been very hard on because trying to get geared up. I've basically spent the last 4 years predominantly working solo. Trying to keep the division up and get it going and move it and get everything set up and where it's going in the proper direction. And again, we've butted heads again, because I'm not a gun guy. I'm not a transplant. So I don't even, again, how we talked about Grossman, this idea of separation of target. I'm up close and personal. They're all range, so we've done a really good job of trying to get the communication down to where we're all kind of speaking the same language. And we're making some real solid moves to begin to develop who that, as you said, that niche market, and who we're going to try and go to. And like on my side, it's been easy. On the philo side, it's been easy because my people know me.
Yeah.
They know me. They know exactly where I'm coming from. They know me. And people were like, well, and they see me at DoubleStar, and I keep trying to tell them, but here it's not just me. I'm a conglomerate. I'm not just representing me. I'm representing an entire company. So therefore, there needs to be a cohesive message that we're all going to stand by and say, no, we're going to lock arms and we're going to say, this is us. This is who we are. And whether you're buying a gun or you're buying a knife, this is it. You're these are the things you're getting. You're getting an American made company that was built from the ground up.
Yep.
Period.
Custom made. You can add your flair to it, but you also get the experience of expertise. And I think that's something you should probably market too, is that you are shooters, you are defensive, or not defensive, attack trainers. Those are a lot of valuable things. Like when Nick, you can call up Nick and he'll literally pick up the phone and talk you through what rifle build you want or what parts, or you know what I mean? That's amazing.
Yeah. So we're working on that. It's a process, and getting through that. And another thing is realizing you can't make everybody happy. You can't. You're not going to be able to satisfy everybody. It's not going to happen. So why try? Just find that group of people that recognizes you and who you are and what you're doing, and just work that.
Yep.
That's work that. And that's what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to better hone down, who our market is.
Yeah. It takes a long time to figure out. But okay, one of those burning questions I have to know, how can I tell that it's like a Nick blade or something that you made, or sorry, Rob blade? Look at that. Like, do you have a mark? Do you have like a craftsmanship that I like know that it's yours?
Yeah, like a lot of my designs, if you Yeah. Amongst us makers, we can tell.
Okay.
Like the Wrath, the Fury, the Halcon, the Fang, uh, the Noogie.
I have one of those.
That's me. The Noogie was a collaborative between me and Jesse Starnes.
Love it.
But the Fury, the Wrath, the Dracon, the Fang, those are me. Those are mine. You look at like Kim Breed, he designed the Chico Diablo. And if you look at Kim's work, it's got a particular look to it. Me, I've had people, my stuff has got a particularly violent look to it.
I like it.
If you look at my stuff, like for me, like my two strongest creations is the Wrath and the Halcon.
Yeah.
Those two pieces of kit, they just look angry. They're pissed all the time.
So
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, they're mad all the time. Like if it becomes more evident when you go to like my IG, and you see some of the stuff that I'm working on outside of there.
Yeah.
And you see my style, because I've got a couple of blades that I'm personally working on, like I'm trying to release into the line. You see the work that I've done with Clint Emerson. I did the design build for 100 Deadly Skills. I designed the Outlaw.
So cool.
And built it. I designed and built it. Like if you look at the Outlaw looks like me. The Outlaw is me. It's the Outlaw. Yeah, the Outlaw is 12 years of designing.
That's so cool.
It's another one. I've been designing and building for 12 years now.
Oh man.
Yeah. 2008 is when I officially made the plunge.
Okay. And when you say design, you hand draw, you CAD design, like what's the problem?
Yeah, I'm a CAD guy.
Okay.
And when I say CAD, I don't mean modeling. I do some modeling.
Yeah.
I'm a 2D guy.
Yeah.
I've been doing CAD drafting since I was 10.
Okay, cool. Very cool. I remember you had your model there and I was like, oh, you do modeling. That's not
no. When I think like in industry, we consider it like 3D modeling. The 3D guys call what they do CAD. And I'm like, that's not CAD.
Sure.
That's not CAD. You're modeling. You're modeling this. You're making it. You're bringing it into a 3D world. That's what you're doing. And they're very good at it. So I don't take that away from them. It's just not the same.
Yeah. That's funny. I was like, I can see a model.
Well, CAD means something. Computer aided drafting.
Yeah.
They're not drafting. I've drafted. I've gone pen to linen. I know what that is. So they haven't done any of that mess. So I don't call you a draftsman. I was a draftsman for a long time.
You gotta insult them.
No, but that's not what they're doing. I don't care if I insult you. I mean, I'm just going to shoot straight. CAD, it means something. It's an acronym that has a meaning. And if you've never been a draftsman, you're not drafting. To me, it's more appropriate to call them like what they do is modeling. They'll basically take a 2D and bring it into a 3D world, which requires a whole nother set of skills. So I definitely big props, but I just don't see it as the same thing,
Yeah. Okay. And going back, you mentioned hammer forge is something you're working on. What are the different ways that blades are forged?
You basically have two styles. You have stock removal or hammer forging. Hammer forging is what you've seen on Forge and Fire, where you basically heat the steel and you pound it into submission.
Yep.
You beat it into force. Where stock removal, you grind it off.
Okay.
You take it off, and people are like, "Oh, well, that's easier." No.
It takes
Yeah, well, not only that, it takes a great deal of skill.
It has to be perfect. Like oh my god.
Yeah, pressure, movement, angling, understanding how to heat treat. Yeah. People are like, "Oh, that's the easy route." Yeah, I'll tell you what. You come up to my shop and you can apprentice, and you can tell me how easy it is.
Well, just like shooting's really easy. You just pull a trigger and that's it.
Just pull a trigger. That's it.
5 yards away. Okay.
Well, that's like me and my guys.
Seconds between a shot. Okay.
Exactly. And let's just look at trigger pull. Trigger pull is about the closest thing I've ever seen to grinding.
Mm-hmm.
Grinding, you're controlling pressure and angle and feed in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different planes.
Beautiful. You know how to speak gun.
Yeah. It's the same thing with trigger pull. Trigger pull is no different.
Yeah.
You know, you positioning, you know, are you weaver or are you isosceles? Okay, well, how do you approach the grinder? What position are you in? How well are you rooted? You know, what is, you know, that all applies. This is the closest I've seen to it.
Yeah.
You know, breathing, how you address the wheel, you know, what are you thinking about?
Yeah, if your mind's elsewhere, that's when you F up.
You know,
I've heard across the board, like people, the messed up items, whether it's guns, knives, whatever, was made on a Friday.
Actually, for me, the biggest thing is like, I got to be clear of stress. I can't like, oh my God, I can't create. If I've got like, and I've told them, you know, they like, well, Rob, you can just fix that. No, I don't just fix it. You know, that takes skill. I mean, this is an artisan thing. This isn't like I just walk up and push a button. You know, I gotta be in the mood. Really, I do. I've got to be in the mood.
You're an artiste. That's what I'm
Yeah,
enjoying.
man. Well, it's like sharpening. Sharpening is a symphony at my place.
Okay.
Sharpening is a symphony. When you got to sit down, you got to sharpen 200 knives or 100 knives, 50 knives. And each blade, every single one of them has got to be on point.
Literally.
Everyone, literally. You know, you got to be into it. And my guys, like, well, cool, because I got the greatest guys in the world.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when they first came up, you know, and they started learning, you know, and I started telling them all this stuff. And the very first day I sit you down to sharpen, you see it immediately. And I'm giving you an easy way to sharpen. It's not even free-handed sharpening.
Right.
You know, you're fixture sharpening. You know, you're setting up in a production atmosphere. And my God, dude, it becomes extremely obvious because there's still elements like what I try to do is I try to take at least 2 of the axes out.
Okay.
When you sharpen so that you don't have to work as much at maintaining the rest of the axes. Mm-hmm. So the way we sharpen at DoubleStar is we use what they call a tool rest method. And we run tool rest method. This way I can control at least 2 of the axes. So you don't have to, because when you freehand sharpen or you freehand grind, you're controlling all those axes. Right. And the person who's not skilled at doing that, you're going to have a lot of scrap.
Yeah. Okay. What's the worst like blade that you've seen like someone take care of, like in the worst way?
Oh my God, I got the perfect one.
Okay.
So I built this guy a karambit out of carbon steel. This is 1095 carbon steel. This is the same stuff that, I mean, this is like, I'm trying to think of carbon steel. Just picked a K-bar. Okay. K-bar is made out of 1095. So I built him this karambit. It says carbon steel right on it. I told him it was carbon steel. Iterated, you got to take it, you got to treat it just like a gun. 4 months later, he sends me a picture of this blade, and it is absolutely ate up. I mean, absolutely ate up with oxidation. And I go, oh my God, what? And he goes, dude, this thing is rusting. And I'm like, have you taken care of it? Have you oiled it? Well, no. And I'm like, bro, I told you this was carbon steel. You need to treat it. I said, I asked you this specifically. Do you have a gun? And he's like, yes, I have a gun. I said, do you take care of your gun? Yes, I take care of my gun. Okay, so you clean it and oil it when you're done shooting it. Yes, I do that. Okay. I said, so that's exactly the same way you need to treat this knife. Got it. No. And then I find out that not only is he not taking care of it, he basically uses it, puts it back in the sheath and throws it in a gym bag. Oh,
gross. Yeah.
So it's there with all that humidity and body sweat and all that. And I'm like, it looked horrible. It was a sad, my God, just see one of my, it was bad. It was really bad. Yes, it was extremely painful. But what got me was how oblivious this cat was.
Right.
Dude, I asked you, do you have guns? That's usually one of my first checks.
You should have said, hey, can you pull out your guns now for me to look at?
Let me see your guns. Let me see what your guns look like. So, I mean,
yeah,
that's the worst one. That's definitely the worst. That's the worst one.
That's fair. So for those listening, what are some good tips? It doesn't have to be that type of steel, but just in general, what should they do?
Clean and dry your knives after use and then oil them. I don't care if you Want to put them in the dish, wash them in the sink or whatever. Don't put them in the dishwasher, but if you want to wash them in the sink, dry them off really good. If it's a kitchen knife, use consumable grade mineral oil. If you don't have that, if you use the knife regularly, a little bit of olive oil on kitchen knives works fine. Just put a real thin coat, because if you use it regularly, you're not going to have to worry about the oil spoiling on the blade because you're using it every day.
Oh, that's cool.
Or you're using it really often. But if the knife is a blade that you're in a kitchen and you don't use it often, I would recommend using consumption grade mineral oil. If it's not going to be used all the time, because it won't spoil on you.
Yeah.
Now for me, I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to my oils that I like to use. I'm a diehard Corrosion X fan.
Okay.
That stuff is bulletproof in the way of taking care of carbon steel blades. Okay. It's bulletproof. It's absolutely, it smokes frog lube. It smokes them all.
Okay.
I'd even recommend for guns, like if you're going to store. Yeah. If you got guns that you're going to store and you're not going to shoot them often, I recommend Corrosion X. Okay. I'd buy a little bit and try it, and put your stuff away. So when I work with Damascus, I use Corrosion X explicitly, because I can make a Damascus blade, clean it, etch it, dry it, hit it with Corrosion X. I can take that same Damascus blade. I've got a Damascus blade that I have not touched with oil in 4.5 to 5 years.
Because you treat it with that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can take, if you go to YouTube, you go to Corrosion X, there's a guy that does a saltwater test on all the top lubricants.
Yeah. And
hands down, Corrosion X it's the baddest one out there. So I use it explicitly on a lot of my stuff. Yeah, it's phenomenal. Yeah, keep them clean, keep them dry. If you're one of these people that like to use your pocket knife to cut apples, okay, the sugar that comes off of fruit is extremely corrosive. So make sure you clean your blade after you cut an apple or something with it. Wash it, clean it off, dry it, and make sure you put a little coat of oil on it. People like the brimstones that we have, we tell them right off the bat that is not stainless steel.
Yeah.
Make sure you keep it clean and make sure you keep it oiled, because it will rust.
Yeah. Yeah. How about the people that pull their shotgun rounds that are stuck down the lifter?
Hey, as long as it works.
It did. It did. Did you see that video?
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, when you posted it.
Yeah.
So yeah, props to the brimstone.
Right. I was like, hell yeah.
We got some really hot ones coming out here in a few weeks. We're supposed to be getting our order. Those are imports. We just did a combination where we do red and black G10, and we did OD and black G10, and they came out, man, they're hot.
They're sweet.
They're super hot.
Is that coming out for SHOT Show?
Yeah, we'll have them for SHOT Show.
Okay.
Actually, if everything works out good. Well, because I'm having manufacturing issues. We're having production issues in the way of getting stuff lined up, because we're so busy on the gun side that it bites off the lion's share of the resources. So I have to scream really loud to get my stuff in there. Yeah, I have to really go in there and stir it up a little bit. But that's fine. They once it's get them. Hey, I need to get this done. I need to make this happen.
You're scary when you command a crowd too. It's quiet, like stoic demeanor. You're like, oh, Rob has something to say.
Well, they just I'm not always like that though. I'm actually fun.
No, I know.
I think it's got a lot to do with my upbringing and the career that I chose, for 22 years. Surveyors, especially in the type of work that I did, they're very team oriented. They're very results driven.
Yeah.
And it's all about the task, getting it finished and moving on to the next one. And there's a lot of team spirit in land surveying, like crews. When you run and operate crews as party chiefs, and you're basically running teams of guys is what you're doing. Is you're running teams, and you gotta, dude, if you gotta get the job done, man, we gotta do this. And so there's no BSing around. Everything's extremely black and white. if your buddy is, he's sandbagging, you're gonna let him know.
Yeah. Oh, I
you're
call
gonna
him on social media.
Yeah, well, I call him out on the line, dude. You're dragging. Come on, we got crap to do.
So many people in USDSA sandbagging right now. They're like, "Oh, look at my C-class trophy and my money I won." I'm like, "C-class, bitch, you're A-class."
You're like Templi.
There's one that will literally throw classifiers to not move up. And we're like, "You're sandbagging, dude." Okay.
Yeah, let me stay down here and putt with the poodles just so I can look really good.
Like, why do you want to win B class? Like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely not. So, yeah. So we got that coming out. We're going to be doing some off-color Ahabs. We got a lot of stuff going on. We've got our own modelers now. We're doing we do all of our own fixturing. We've added to the growth. The guys are picking it up. I've got a really good team. We're trying to work up to, well, if everything works out right, we retabled the Light Fighter, which was designed by Darren Soroy. We tabled it, and we've actually taken that blade back to the way it's supposed to be built.
Oh, cool.
It is actually it's pretty much exactly the way the custom is.
Oh, neat.
So yeah, the custom, there was some characteristics. I wasn't involved in the initial development of it, but they decided to make some changes to it where they took one of the finger scallops out and they got away from the build. Here's the deal. When you call on board a guy like Darren Soroy, a 20-year veteran, combat veteran, sergeant major, been in countless combat, tier 1 level operator, and you take a design from him, what are you changing? There's nothing to change. That's his knife.
Yeah.
So we went back to task on that. We basically built the knife exactly the way he wanted it built.
Cool. Okay.
Period, exclamation point, whatever you want to put for punctuation. So we're building that out of 52-100. And we're doing I'm trying to set it up to where you can do it. See, in the knife industry, the quintessential cornerstone is a combat utility.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it, right? The combat utility, K-bar.
Yeah.
Gerber has got a combat utility. SOG. And then when you look at our industry, when you look at limited production domestic, we're in the ring with some real heavy hitters. Spartan Blades. Those guys are all retired pipe hitters. Golly, RMJ, they're in the same level. Jack Stottlemyre, and the list goes on and on with all these guys who build combat utilities. And so we said, okay, we got a combat utility built by a combat vet.
Right. Why are we?
So we need to run that thing exactly the way it is. We need to market the living crap out of that.
Yeah.
Because the guy, better than the fact that he's an American hero, he's an amazing human being. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to set up to where you can build your own. So we'll offer 3 or 4 different scale types, and then 2 or 3 different sheath types to where you can mix and match colors. We're trying to do that, but predominantly the 3 main colors that we're going to be operating, we'll be running 3. We're going to be running black. So we're going with a patinaed tumbled finish.
Ooh, okay.
With the blade. It's carbon steel. It's 52-100. We're going to be running for scales. We're going to be running Coyote with an OD scale, with an OD liner, or we're going to be running OD with a Coyote liner.
Okay.
And then you'll either be able to run an OD sheath or a Coyote sheath.
Cool.
Your other option is all blacked out, or we're going to offer black with either a red, white, or blue liner.
Yeah.
Or you can run it blacked out with one of those liner choices.
So cool.
And it's because it's a combat utility.
Yeah.
I mean, that knife, I'd put it up against a K-bar any day.
Yeah. Okay.
Any day.
Awesome.
Even, design, functionality, it's the knife, period. So we got that. And these will all be at SHOT Show. God willing, we're all able to be there. And then the second thing is we're getting into the camping market. Yeah, we're creating the, I've been releasing some IG photos of it. The development of it is the Kodiak Field Axe.
How do we get you guys in the like Smoky Mountain Knife Works?
We're talking to them right now, as a matter of fact.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we're talking to those guys right now. Yep, we're getting ready. We're going to well, that was another thing that we had a problem with was that we had the blades lined up in a distributor market.
Yeah.
And that wasn't working for us. That's really difficult. So what we did was we backed out of that. We're getting right back into a pure dealer market.
Yeah.
So that leaves a lot of opening for guys like Smoky Mountain. So we got the Kodiak Field Axe, which is actually going to be, we're going to try to keep it right at or just below 250. And it's going to come with a splitting attachment, 52-100 steel, bikini style sheath. It's basically something that you could throw in there. And if you're camping, that's it. You can turn it around, use it as a striking tool. You can use it as a splitting tool, cross-cutting tool, whatever. It's going to be that kind of like it fit as many slots as humanly possible for the, not so much, maybe a little upper middle class, but it's definitely a tool that you'll be able to buy that you'll be able to pass down to your kids.
That's cool.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're adding 2 new colors to the folders, red and black layer G10 and OD and black layer G10 to the brimstones, which look absolutely sick.
Yeah. I mean, obviously.
Yep, absolutely. Then we're adding some off colors to the Ahabs. We purchased enough blanks that we can build some off colors. Again, like I'm a huge fan of OD and black. I love OD and black or Coyote and black or some of the different swirled G10s. We're getting into some design build projects. We just got done doing a project for Wyndham where we basically built some knives for them for their, I think it was 10-year anniversary. I think it was.
Okay.
For Wyndham weaponry. They basically bought a handful of our fangs and we colored them and tricked them out for them.
That's neat.
So we're getting into some of the design build stuff. So we've got some stuff that my guys and I have been working on. But again, we just don't know what's going on with the COVID either. It's hard to read that.
Yeah. So wrapping up on the knife stuffs too, how could someone get into bladesmithing and work? Is there like apprenticeships out there? Or?
Yeah. Your easiest thing to do is find a maker. Okay. Be really understanding because a lot of makers are either part-time or if they are part-time right now, they're covered up. And be prepared that for an apprentice program, like my apprentice program through Field Blade Works. So I'm teaching you the craft and in return, you're helping me get some stuff pushed out the door.
Right. Yep.
That's the way it goes.
Like internships. I mean, you have to put in the work.
Yeah.
Helping out the company. There's value, and there's a lot of value in trade and skill and all that. Yeah.
And from basically as an apprentice, you're going to learn the basics. You learn the hard stuff. You learn the hardcore stuff that's going to carry you through. And then as you grow, you begin to develop your own style. Yeah. But that you have to get the basics down first.
Right.
But that'd be the easiest thing to do is find a maker. Try to find a maker. And a lot of the old timers, they don't even want to mess with it.
Yeah.
They don't even want to mess with it. So, that's kind of how that works.
Yeah. It's definitely, I don't want to say dying, but we need more people to get into that and keep teaching.
Well, it's happening because knife making, because of Forge and Fire, is making huge. Yeah. It's got a huge thing, which is good and bad.
Yeah.
Because what it's done now is created a whole nother market. It's created what I'm referring to as the garage market now. A lot of the garage builders, some of them let me be careful. If the market, I think the market will let you know.
Yeah.
The market will let you know. If you're out there and you're making stuff that really shouldn't be sold and you're selling it and you're not doing a real good job of it, you won't be selling it long.
Fair enough.
I guess that's kind of the way. I think that's probably the safest way to say it.
Yeah, that's fair.
From an economic point of view, the market will take care of itself.
Yeah. That's good though. That not many
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, exactly. But it's made nice. The Blade Show is big now. We've got, technically there's 3 Blade Show shows now. We've got the one in Houston. We've got Blade Show West, which is actually going to be going on this weekend, or just happened last weekend. I can't remember. And then Blade Show East, which is the big one.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go into that actually. So shifting gears, going into like DoubleStar and all of that. So I'll get into shows, but so Jesse is the one that made the connection with you, that you made the blade for him, and he referred you. Like, how did the blade division like get started?
Well, him and I are in the same FMA tribe.
Okay.
We're in the same FMA tribe, so we knew each other. And then Jesse is a peruser of he loves the internet surf, and he saw that I was making stuff, and he was one of the first person to grab it. And then I started making more stuff, and then I came in initially as a designer who was helping them get the division started.
Yeah.
And then they had been operating as a division for about 2 years, and he was being pulled in way too many directions in the way of being able to sit on it and be able to make it happen. Because it takes a lot of, well, in my case, I ended up doing a lot of the development and building myself.
Mm-hmm.
So we started talking. He's like, bro, he says, you want to come up and do this? And I thought about it, and I had just retired from surveying, and prayed about it, and we went ahead and took the dive.
Yeah.
And it's been an extremely good learning experience. And I'm looking forward to the future. We're really working hard to make solid, because my whole thing is about developing something that's going to last. It's going to be concrete. It's going to make a solid purchase in the way of be here 20 years from now.
Yeah. Leaving a legacy per se.
Yeah. And they're cool with me in the sense that they know that in order for me to be good at what I do, I have to be able to stretch my wings and still build and still create and still cover my brand. I've still got to be able to do that, because there's a strength in that, because there's places that my brand can get to that they can't.
Yeah.
So we all understand that. It's all pretty clear. But this end of it, in the way of looking at it from the business side and operating it from a sense of a whole nother market, and doing it and trying to do it is something that is probably one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Yeah. That's good though. Gives you
Yeah. It's definitely, it's tested and given me a lot more sense of, okay, well, let me curb my role.
Mm-hmm.
Let me curb my role, because I came up here to Kentucky and the culture here is completely different.
Yeah.
The culture is different. I'm a New Yorker.
Yep.
I'm all in your grill, personality wise. I don't pull punches. I'm extremely transparent. If I hurt your feelings, I'm sorry. I didn't, but I just feel like, honesty is the best policy. Just keep it crystal clear. And it's caused me to have to do, like in surveying, it was, again, you're in a team, you're in a bunch of guys. So
right.
you don't have to, I hate to say it this way, you don't really need to worry about delivery.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, delivery is one thing, like at home, I'm a completely different person, because I'm a father now, and being a father, I have to I have to handle things differently as a father. But when I was at work is work. I have no time to babysit, and I've got no time to deal with any kind of politics. It was never that way, and I've had to, and it's given me a little bit more easier side, as Nick would say, the mayo on the turkey sandwich, You know, that's what he calls it. You know, it's the buffer. So and he's been a huge part of that because he's a very, very good listener.
Yes.
And a lot of times I just come to him and I just vomit out all this stuff, and he's really good at sifting through it, and he'll just sit there and listen, and I just go on this rant, and he'll wait till I'm done, and then he'll stop, and he just kind of picks through everything, and okay, we're going to talk about that, and we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about that. And then by the time he gets to the third one, I feel good. And then, and we're able to, he's like, oh dude, him and I are an amazing team. I mean, it's crazy how much he can put up with me. It's nuts.
Well, that's how the Pew Pew and Stabby show came together.
Yeah, I mean, even beyond Pew Pew and Stabby, dude. I mean, he's been so good at keeping me off the edge. Him and Stacy Starnes have been like, they definitely keep me hooked on the edge. They keep me from jumping completely out of the building. Those two. I'm surprised they need to drink more. I mean, having to deal with me really to keep me corralled, I can only imagine. I mean, you've heard my wife is like, she keeps me completely locked up.
Yeah.
Completely locked up because I'm a mess the other way around.
Okay,
But
so Nick answered this for me. What's the stupidest thing that you have done food challenge wise at DoubleStar?
I don't do stupid food challenge stuff. I leave that up to him.
Okay, what's the dumbest thing you've seen him put in his mouth?
Oh my God. The devil's penis or whatever that thing was that he did. The devil's something.
The chip?
Whatever one he did where he was rolling on the ground afterwards. That was insane.
The one chip challenge.
There was something that he did, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Dude, he was on the ground. He was, after it was all over, he's on the ground and he's got that, he carries a fan with him wherever he goes. And he's got the fan on him. He's just laying there, and bro, he's out. He's like done. He's completely done. And I'm like, man, why did you even do it? And then he did that. No. It was like the devil's sucker. It was like a lollipop that was like the heat of the face of the sun or something. And he did that. I'm like, bro, that was ridiculous. Why did you do that? So he did it anyways. And I'm like, so stupid.
That's why we love him.
Oh my God. And I look at him like, why are you doing that? And he's like, well, because it's fun. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to have that much fun.
He's not gonna live very long.
No, don't do that. And he's been, we're the perfect. Yeah, we're perfect when it comes to that. Cause yeah, he's like I said, he's an amazing brother. He's, like I said, man, I can't say any more about him in the way of, he's a great human being,
Yes, there is 100%.
Oh, dude, we laugh. We love going on road trips together.
Y'all are so cute. It's cute.
We love going on road trips together. We went to Louisiana together to shoot some stuff with Gun Talk, and that was a blast. Then we went to go visit Kim Breed together. Yeah, him and we just have a lot of fun
and learn a lot.
We learn a lot, but we laugh a lot. Mm-hmm. A lot. There's a lot of laughing that goes on.
You need that.
Yeah, he definitely helps me relax. Yeah, he's a great friend and a good brother.
Awesome. Going back to what you said earlier, how freeing is it to have a job where you get to create? They let you innovate. They even sometimes let you fail, right? Like, how awesome is that?
Yeah. As far as that goes, I've got the best job in the world. I can honestly say, despite the corporate politics and dealing with, working in a larger company, for me, the saving grace is being able to, well, okay, I get to go back up to my Zen. Yeah. I go back up to my shop and I get to create. I get to make. I get to do that part of it. And believe it or not, it's a great balance.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think so, but the fact that I have to balance both, I have to deal with the business side of it and then deal with the the manufacturing side of it. It's gotten even better since now that they've given me a great team.
Yeah.
So now the lifting, because I'm very much team oriented, you know, this ship is going to sink or it's going to float, and we're all taking credit for it.
That's awesome.
That's the way I was brought up in surveying with crews.
Yeah.
You know, we all, you know, yeah, the party chief's the first guy to say it was on me, but then his eye man and the rest of the crew is stepping in and saying, nah, it was us. We were there too.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I run my teams. That's how I run my crew. And that's how we set the shop up. If we're making it, we're making it together. Yeah. We're all doing this together. So my crew, my man, Derek, who's my senior tech, and Jake Rainey, who's my shop manager. I couldn't get it done without those two. Those two are killing it. And you know, they're just awesome. Those two, and I love it because they get it. Mm-hmm. They get it. They understand the passion. They understand the level of precision, passion, excellence that drives us. Yeah. They know it. They get it. They accept it. You know, and they know that the passion and all that is a necessary component to get to where we're going to try to get to. Yeah. And yeah, they're all about it, man. They're all about it. They're all about it. They're all about it. Every, you know, it's not like we're going to blim. No, every blade has to make it. Yeah. We got to do everything in our power to get that blade out. I don't care what it is. What do we do? How do we make it happen? And then each one is treated with love, man. Everyone there, you know, the stages that we have to control, the way we handle those blades, the way that they're handled when they're sharpened, you know, every blade is treated like it's special. Every single one of them.
That's really cool. Why? Go ahead.
Yeah, you have to. It has to be that way. It's not just another widget.
Yeah, and you take pride in your work. A lot of companies don't do that so much anymore, even on like a production line.
Yeah. I mean, knives are personal.
Yes. Yeah.
Knives are personal. It doesn't get any more personal than you being stuck out in the woods, mm-hmm. and you got to use a fire starter now to generate heat, or you're not going to survive. I don't think it's much personal. You got to use your knife to be able to generate shelter. Much more personal than that. You got to pull off of non-dominant side knife because your right side where your gun's at is under control because you're being attacked. Doesn't get much more personal than that. Your son's first bow kill being field dressed with a Chico Diablo doesn't get any more personal than that. You know, a law enforcement officer carrying an Ahab right behind his mag carrier in his non-dominant side in case he needs it. It doesn't get any more personal than that. Yeah.
I think that's really well said. I have a lot of sentimental things that knives are one of them. It's really cool.
Yeah. It's a personal thing. It doesn't get any more personal than a knife. Why do you think there's so much lore and there's so much, legend around knives? There's a reason for that. They're personal. It's the oldest, it's the quintessential tool. It's the cornerstone of survival. Yeah. Is a good knife, period, full stop. Mm-hmm. I know guys right now. I got my man, Craig Caudle. Craig Caudle, you can kick that joker out of a car with nothing.
But a knife.
With nothing. No, he don't even need a knife.
Oh.
And if you take a knife, he's all forget about it, I'll survive for weeks. He's that guy. He's that guy, man. He's that guy. Tracker, man tracker, all that jazz. So you give him a knife, forget about it, dude. I'll create my own city back there in the woods. You'll kick me out of here in 3 years later, I got a town out there. Yeah. But so it doesn't get any more personal than a knife. It doesn't. So to me, each, sharpening, we got a nice method to sharpening. Every single blade that comes out of my shop gets hand stropped. Every knife. One guy came up to me one day and he's like, yo, man, if you went ahead and used the leather stropping method on the grinder, they'd get done faster. I'm like, yeah, but it's not as personal.
Yeah.
There's something about hand stropping a blade.
Yeah.
That last and final stage. There's something magical about it. There's something, because it's literally like you're taking it to the final stage and the edge of that blade is being born. It's really being born. It's happened. You can feel it with every stroke across the leather, every stroke. And then you walk over to the best tester, bang, 120, 130, razor sharp, every single one of them lined out. They get all lined out. They're there getting ready to get dressed, to get scaled up. My man, Derek, taking care of torque on the scales, checking it, feeling it, making sure it feels right. Bang, 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 fire the sheath a couple of times. Boom. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Like cry. I think this is why I like working with entrepreneurs and hearing entrepreneurship stories and all of that, because the passion comes through, the why comes through. And like, again, going back to like American made companies and people who give a shit about their work is why you should pay and appreciate for that item. I don't know. That was amazing, Rob. You just like went off.
Well, Walmart's ruined it.
I know.
Walmart ruined it. Walmart made us too used to going out and being able to buy a $10 toaster.
Yeah. $10 toaster 12 times rather than just buying the one that would last you forever.
It wasn't like that. Or being able to, with as much as I love IKEA, that something happened. Yeah. Where you could go out and spend $150 and buy a bedroom set. Is it convenient? Yeah. Is it easier for the people who don't have a lot of grip? Yeah, that's true. But, there comes a point in time where you want to try to grow out of that.
Yeah.
Where you want to say, oh, hold on a second. Like my wife and I are at that stage now where we're like, she's at a place now where she's buying pieces and she's like, well, I could give that to the girls, later on, that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
Where, okay, we're going to pay a little more for it, but it's well built and we'll probably be able to give it away to the kids. But there was a time when we couldn't do that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we grew up poor and middle-ish and kept going up. Now they're well off. But my great grandma, I still have her kitchen like set, and that's what I've used. She's passed away, long gone by now, but I still have her plates, her bowls, her cups. That's my everyday china. Yeah. It's indestructible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's well built.
It is.
Well built. So yeah, that's that's the why. Like today we were having a marketing meeting and I know it sounds cliche, but it's truth. And so they asked you, what are your 3 core values? It's an exercise in developing the marketing brand. And everybody went through and the guy asked me and I'm like, honor, courage, commitment. And he's like, I've heard that before. I said, yeah, Navy.
Oh, Navy. Okay.
Yeah, Navy. I mean, I was a Navy brat. And then I'll never forget, there was a point in time in my life when I missed those things by the mark. And I'll never forget my grandfather, who's a merchant marine, because they carry a lot of the same creed. And I remember being in a bad way and him coming and telling me, he goes, you need to get your what squared away. And you need to start exercising some honor, some courage, and some commitment in your life. And it's not cliche. It's not cliche. Faith is the driving point of if faith is the tip of my spear, then those values are the staff that spearhead is mounted to.
Yeah.
And that's how I drive everything with how I treat my family, how I raise my kids, how I live this life, how I build my blades. It's all based on that. And I promise you, it's not cliche.
Yeah.
It's not. I live it because, again, I know what it's like not to have any of those things, because there was a point in time when I not only let my family down, I let myself down. And I swore that I'd never do that again, because honor is a gift that an individual gives themselves.
Yeah.
And that's how I run. It's not cliche. That's why I say, like, the philo people, they know that. They know me, that's the way I operate,
right.
And for me, like, I look at, like, we're having to have this conversation about our marketing message, and the marketing guy comes back to me and he's like, well, Rob, what do you think about this? I said, listen, this is a cohesive message. It doesn't need to come from me. I just need to be able to purchase it.
Yeah.
And believe it.
Yep.
So as long as the values align,
yep.
As long as those values they all don't need to be mine.
Right.
But if there are some of the values cross over, then that's good. Then I can believe it and then buy into it and then drive it.
Yep.
But they all don't need to be mine.
Yeah.
They don't need to be. I'm the sum. I'm not the sum. I'm the parts of a bigger machine that needs to be able to run. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it can't be me, because then it's me.
Yeah. You're
So,
whole brand.
Yeah. People,
it has to live on after you too.
Yeah. And people need to be able to look at me and they say, oh, okay, that's Cabrera. He runs with those DoubleStar guys. Okay. Well, I can see him. So therefore, okay. So I can see that there's an element of their values, of what they're made out of, that gleans through him.
Yep.
But it's not all him.
Right.
Yep. So
rise and fall.
I think, that's what I bring. If I were to say, what do you bring to the DoubleStar team? I bring passion.
Oh, I can see it. And I think you can hear it.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I bring. I bring passion. I bring this, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. So love what you do. If you don't love what you're doing, go do something else.
Yeah. Plenty out there. Yeah.
There's plenty out there to do. Find something that you're passionate about. It'll make making a living that much easier.
Yeah, for sure.
Instead of being in the grind. So yeah, that's that level.
Yeah. And for people that don't know, there's essentially 2 locations for DoubleStar too. So you're out on a cool farm, away from all of that stuff. So
Go
ahead. I was gonna say, how's that different? How's that shop set up, and where you can actually do your work?
So the chop shop is up at what we affectionately call J&T 1. It was the first building where Miss Teresa and Jack Chief first started their real big push into the distributing and manufacturing world, out there on the family farm, Miss Teresa's family farm. And when they moved to the big building, J&T 3, when I came on board to run the knife division, they moved me out there. It's my shop now. And well, Jack brought me in that one day and he says, Rob, he said, this is yours. You run it how you see fit. And that's exactly, I run that. It's my world, my rules, my shop, and my guys know it too. They treat it like it's theirs, from everything, cleaning the toilets to whatever. It's ours.
Gonna be a damn good job no matter what it is. Yeah.
Nick
did the same. He started sweeping floors,
Yep.
Not afraid to put in hard work. I don't think there's any job beneath anybody. I don't care who you are.
Yep.
But I think the leadership at DoubleStar reflects why the company is so successful, because you're not being micromanaged. You are being able to innovate and, still run the business. But I think it's just really cool,
Yeah, I believe in leadership. I believe in leading from the front.
Yeah.
And leading by example. That's how it's done.
100%.
Yep. That's it. There is no other way to lead.
No.
People are like, what's your leadership style? Well, if it doesn't adhere to those 2 elements, you don't have a leadership style. You're just going through the motions. Yeah. You're just going through the motions.
Yeah.
And I learned all about that from the very first guy that started mentoring me in surveying. Just happened to be another military guy. My life has been surrounded by military people, and oh my God, it has been. I mean, it's amazing. And I remember his name was Donald Stone Lane. He was the very first surveyor who brought me under his wing, and he told me, he says, never ask anyone to do anything you wouldn't be willing to do yourself.
Yep.
And so that's why there's times you can come up to my shop and there I'll be cleaning toilets and sweeping floors and throwing out the trash. And yep, that's just what the boss does.
I like it. I like it. The other thing that people don't know, and maybe you can talk to this, is the culture at DoubleStar is amazing. It's unlike anything I've seen. You've got family, like you said, people have grown up. They've seen your kids grow up around the shop. Bring your dogs to work. Like, talk about the culture at DoubleStar.
It's really hard for me because yes, I recognize that culture. I know that's the culture that's down there. And do I fit in with it? Yes, I fit in with it down there. But that is part of the culture down there. They very much have been, they've always been very accommodating to allowing people to just be chill.
Yeah.
You know, as people would say that, well, it's got issues on both sides. Yeah. But that's one of the things that they're always trying to maintain, even while we're growing.
Yeah.
We're trying to maintain that character while pushing forward.
Yeah.
What that's going to look like in 10 years, I don't know. But I think there's always room for it, as long as it's handled correctly, which I think, again, it's all part of what we're doing now with this idea of working through and, coming up with new ways to lead and
as long as the job gets done, you still have
yes,
people
yes,
do what they need to do. But if they love what they do, and they need to take an emergency, cool, they're going to work that much harder, probably saying thank you, for being able to do that. So
yeah, that's another part of it. Like, and it's good to see that point of view too.
Yeah.
It gives you another insight into another way a business can operate, and operate effectively, and operate effectively. We're no different than anybody else. We've got areas where we need to grow, and we're doing that. And we're doing that right now. We're working on it. But the element of trying to maintain the family mind, it's hard. But we're fighting really hard to keep it.
Yeah.
Even though the growing is happening, because we think that that's what Miss T would have wanted. Again, like, we're family. Yeah. We're like Americans. We're really quintessential America, because I'm going to talk crap about Southern guys, and Southern guys are going to talk crap about Northern guys. But if you're an Englishman and you start talking crap about either one of us, you're probably going to get punched in the mouth, and that's kind of the way I see us at DoubleStar. We're quintessential in that sense, because there's times when we just want to flat out strangle the crap out of each other. But if somebody were to say something cross about one of my people from over there, that'd be it, man. It'd be, no, you ain't gonna be talking like that. There'll be none of that jazz going on around here.
What are the things that Nick say? He says a couple of them is take care of people, check on your people, all the people.
Yeah, he's a people person, man. He's awesome at it.
He is.
My man is so good with people. I sometimes hate people, and he makes me love people. And I love that about him, because he's like, I'll be like, man, I'll just come in and he knows. And he's like, what's up? And I'm like, well, this and that. And he goes, man, you gotta love people. I'm like, I don't want to love people. Some people I want to strangle.
I can hear his voice in my head. Like,
he's so good at talking me off the ledge. He's amazing.
Oh man.
And he's right. He let me tell you something. And that's not a show about him. He genuinely likes people.
Mm-hmm.
He does. It's not a show.
Yeah.
It's not a show. He genuinely likes people, and I love him for that, man, because I look at him in that element of the way he is. I wish I was that way. And I try every time I go and I spend time with him, I try to steal a little bit of that from him, because he's good at it. He's just so good at it.
So
he is.
I know. I agree. I was going to say, with like the podcast that you guys do, like, he's so good at talking to people, getting the fun out of it, and like getting the serious out of it all at the same time. Like, from guests. So what are some of your favorite episodes actually that you guys have done together on the podcast?
The food episodes are awesome. Just because I get a kick out of it, just seeing the silly stuff that he's going to do.
That's why he does.
Yeah. He's worked really hard, because any of the technical advancements that we've made in that show have been because of him.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the time. And he's done a great job with that. As far as favorite show. Whew. I love the early shows because we did not have a damn clue what we were doing. Oh my God.
Every podcast kind of starts out shitty. I was so nervous for the first three.
Oh my God.
Well,
Well, I like to talk.
mm-hmm.
So that's good. But with that show, with the Pew Pew and Stabby podcast, we have to keep it reined. Like if they were to let us go, it would be
overnight. It would be overnight.
We would be, if we were allowed to just be us, like I could just be me and he could just be him.
Mm-hmm.
We we do, most people don't realize this, but we do what we used to do, what they called the pre-show show, which was for like 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Him and I just turned on the mic and just started talking. And I used to love those. And usually our best shows were when we used to do that.
Yeah.
We would just anything at all, just start talking about anything. And it was, if you can ever get him to play some of those for you, they're great. They're the best ones.
No, I gotta ask Nick for that for sure.
Yeah, ask him about the pre-show shows because some of those were really good. But yeah, Stacy would never let us. There's no way she'd ever drop the leash on us. There's no way.
Especially live.
No way. There's no way. She wouldn't. There's no way. We've gotten in trouble before for saying stuff and we didn't even mean it. We'd say stuff. Yeah, we got in trouble. We got in trouble for saying stuff. It's happened.
Yeah.
And we didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
Well, so-and-so at work heard you say this and they were offended. And we're like, what?
That's because we're
What do we
2021. No.
Huh?
It's like 2021. Everybody's offended.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. They were like, well, this and this and this. And I'm like, really? And then I look at him and I go, he goes, I don't know, man. I don't know what we said. So like, do you need us to apologize or something? And like, well, I don't know. So the next show we had to apologize. We had to clarify what we said. Yeah. I think that was like episode 10 or something.
Didn't make it right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah, he's got a way better memory than I do. He'll remember it. We said something and somebody at work was offended. And we were just like, what? Oh, okay. What do we do now? I don't know. Do we have to issue a statement? I don't know. What's a statement? And I'm like, dude, we got to do a retraction or something. People are going to get mad. And he's like, well, what is that? I said, I don't know. It's what all the people do. They do a retraction or whatever. So anyways, yeah, that was great. So that's, Pew Pew and Stabby show. We took a hiatus for a little while. We're just trying to figure out what we're going to do with it.
Yeah.
And where we're going to go. I'm like right now I'm so behind on podcast editing. Yeah. For the Goon Rules podcast, I just done recordings and I've had some pretty decent shows. I just haven't had time to sit down and, edit. I had Mark Cameron. He's a writer. He's a writer for Tom Clancy. What's that?
So cool. I love reading. Love Tom.
Yeah. Tom Clancy. Mark Cameron's a great guy too. He's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So cool.
And then I had Cameron Romero, the son of George C. Night of the Living Dead. Yep. Cameron lives right over here, and he lives right over here in Mount Sterling. Yep. And then I'm supposed to be working out another interview with Mark Greaney, who was just on Jack Carr's show, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Big name.
Yeah.
Big deals. That's cool.
Yeah. And then we're talking about doing some other stuff with the Goon Rules podcast. That one is just I enjoy doing them. I like doing them a lot because I just like to talk.
I can't tell. No, you're the only one that's had a 2-part episode on the Reddit Go Up podcast. I love it.
Yeah. It's just fun. I mean, people that like the same stuff, it's easy.
It is. Yeah.
Like Nick gets mad at me because I don't like my shows. I don't script.
Yeah.
Period. I don't. Like what I'll do is I'll send out like 2 or 3 questions prior to the show. Here's a good example. So I did my co-host is Marcus Torgensen. He's a international Krav guy. And then Craig Caudle and then Mark Cameron. So there was all of us, right? So there's 4 of us on the podcast. There's 4 guys. And what I did was I asked 3 questions prior to the podcast. That's it. That's it. 4 questions. Like I asked, like, what's your favorite book? Your favorite book. then if you had it to do over again, would you and why? And then I forget what the other question was. And then we were able to riff
Sure.
for an entire hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we could have gone for 2 hours. Easy.
But non-scripted too, sometimes how you end up having to issue apologies. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, it happened. I mean, that happens very seldom. No, actually, Nick is the one who wants the point. I don't script.
Yeah.
For Goon Rules, I don't script. I just talk. We talk. I want it to be this feeling of we're on the front porch with a couple of beers talking.
Yeah. And that's
because, oh, dude, that's the best conversations I've ever had in my life with the coolest people have been in that setting.
Nice.
You know, and that's what I want. And that's the Goon Rules podcast. That's what I want it to feel. I want it to feel like that. You know, just this idea. We're just.
It was like that too, ish. I mean, you had topics, but it was just really fun because when Nick gets off topic too, it's gone.
Yeah, but that's great. I mean, I think that's when you're listening to podcasts, I just don't think there's that much of an agenda.
Yeah.
You're there to be entertained in the fact of those conversations that you're probably by yourself listening to it. And you want to be entertained in the fact that you'd like to be in that conversation.
Yeah. It's like,
it's just an open. Yeah, exactly. It's just this open conversation. Just we're talking about whatever, and we're keeping it really loose, and we're not constricting it. I don't believe in that because I don't, like at Blade Show, one of the biggest things at Blade Show is sitting down at tables with large groups of guys, usually 6-8 of us at a table, and the conversations that are had there are just awesome. Just awesome about anything from family to not just knives, but life stuff too, you know?
And that's why actually, I didn't mention that. Like, okay, Blade Show's a big one. I know NRA annual is kind of a necessary evil to go to, but it got canceled. SHOT Show. I mean, all of these things, that's like our family reunions. It truly is our catch up. And there's business done, but so much about business is actually just getting to know people, love on people, and make personal connections, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I got a group of guys that I run with at Blade Show or at SHOT Show and Blade Show. Like a lot of the Blade Show guys I run into at SHOT.
Yeah. Yeah. We're in the same circles.
Yeah. Similar. Yeah. You know, and like we've got this new one that we're developing now with the skill sets guys where we hit the Rumble Lounge. And there's a bunch of us that end up over there at the Rumble Lounge, usually 1 or 2 nights. And that's great. I mean, you run into all kinds of people there. And it's we were thinking about starting to do a challenge coin for Rumble Lounge just because it's awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm actually still thinking about doing a coin because we missed last year.
Yeah.
And the year before that was the 1 year that I went and I ran into Marcus or met a whole bunch of new friends. So I was thinking about doing, they were making fun of me because of the way I order my Bloody Marys.
Extra spicy.
No, I've got all these hand signals and gestures. They make fun of me because I'm from New York. But I was going to do a coin for that show. And then every year do another coin for the Rumble Lounge. But, you know, that's the way I like my podcast. I like to keep it like that, you know, just kind of like fireside, just real easy, you know, in the way of, again, I keep it dialed in as far as nothing. I try to stay away from one thing. I don't talk about. I try to stay away from sex. I really try to stay away from politics.
Yeah.
Faith, I don't mind so much because I'm really open.
Yeah.
But there's not too many guys because I do believe in spirituality. I think spirituality is a component that needs to be had in any healthy human being. But that's about it. You know, long as the you know, they stay away from the real absurd, you know, stuff in life that really shouldn't be talked about. That should be talked about behind closed doors. I mean, but if it's, you know, bourbon, food, man stuff, you know, if we have a woman there that wants to talk about guns or whatever, that's great too. Whatever, you know, the alpha, kind of like the alpha lifestyle, but not directly lined up with guys. It could be women. I mean, there could be women there who like bourbon and cooking and, You know, I mean, dude, we all like to eat. Almost every guy that I've had on there either has a way they like to make steak or whatever, you know.
And like a recipe. Oh my God.
Yeah. All the guys are like that, dude. Even like the hardcore pipe hitters, dude, they're like, they'll talk about food in a heartbeat. They'll talk about food in a heartbeat.
Good. Yeah.
Like right now I think I'm getting ready to have Darren Soroy come on. I want to talk about leadership because he's kind of the tip of the spear when it comes to leadership. He's really big on that. And leadership with men in general, you know, in communities and how to be a leader, you know, how to be a good leader. And no better person, in my opinion, to give it than somebody that's done that, you know, from that level, you know, the alpha's alpha, you know, kind of thing, you know. I mean, non-coms, you know, because my grandfather was one. I've got a big amount of respect for non-coms. Non-coms, they make the military turn, man. And those guys just, there's so much to be learned from them, whether they're a sergeant major or a master chief or senior chief or, you know, or whatever. There's so much that can be learned from those guys, especially retirees that have seen combat. The amount of application, real life application to what they can bring to regular society, they're just it's just amazing, you know. And entire generations are going to the wayside and never learning the things that those guys can impart on them. It's just nuts.
It's the same circle we've been talking about all of these both episodes, is learning stuff with their hands. That's probably going to die. Learning how to hunt, it's probably going to die. Like these things that we've seen, they're generational gaps, and it's scary to think about that. So go ask your people, your grandparents, grandmas, all of them, you know, about their history, about their lives, and like the things that, maybe write them down, maybe record a video like this if you don't like writing, you know. That's why I'm trying to capture more stories about people's lives. And actually you've actually told me a couple mottos like that you live by. Do you want to share some of the mottos that you live your life by? I really enjoy the random ones.
Oh my gosh. Well, the one about doing what you love, that's a big one. You know, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That's the biggest thing. The one about, I'm not a big believer in luck. You know, luck is the last dying wish of those who think winning is an accident. I don't believe in that.
We work too damn hard for people to say, oh, lucky. And I'm like,
yeah, luck is where, you know, preparation and opportunity meet. You know, I believe in doing your push-ups, you know, doing the hard and heavy lifting to make sure that you're ready to do those things. Wow. Again, never deny that third dimension of yourself, spirit. Recognize the part of you that you can't put your hands on, you know, and embrace it and nurture it, feed it.
So Rob, any final thoughts you want to leave listeners with?
Well, check out DoubleStar Blades and DoubleStar Corp, what we got going on the gun side. Check us out, because we're like I said, we're the quintessential American company. We got a lot of good folks, made in Kentucky. We're passionate about what we're doing, and we really enjoy what we do. And just keep your ear to the rail. Keep doing your push-ups. Keep doing all the important stuff so that you're ready to go when it comes time to be ready to go. That's it. That's about all I can leave everybody with, man. Just be and stick to the basics, no matter what it is. Stick to the basics.
Love it. So what's your website and what's your social media for people to follow you online?
Check me out at for the DoubleStar Blades is at IG. It's DoubleStar Blades, DoubleStar_Blades. And then we're also on Facebook as well. And as far as what I'm going on personally, Philo Blade Works and Goon Rules. Goon Rules is the training side of what I do, as well as the podcast. So
cool, man. Thank you, Rob. Thanks for sharing all this information. And I learned a lot on my own. So hopefully somebody else picked up something too.
Absolutely. And good luck with the podcast. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, thank you for sure. Well, I'll see you soon. I'm sure I'll be in Kentucky, tomorrow, but
excellent. Have a great week too.
Thank you. All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Reticle Up podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow along on social media at Reticle Up or 3 Gun Kenzie.